If you've ever wanted to see justice served on someone who failed you when you needed them the most, hit that like button and subscribe. This is not just a story about survival. It's about taking power back when you're pushed past your breaking point. Asterisk. Before my baby was born, I tried to prepare myself. I braced for the sleepless nights, the endless diaper changes, the possibility of postpartum depression or anxiety. What no one told me about was anger. The kind that creeps into your chest like fire and leaves you terrified of yourself. The first time it hit me was late at night. My baby cried, red-faced and inconsolable. And I was still bleeding, still stitched, still barely able to walk. My body was screaming for rest. My mind was fogged. But louder than all of that was the sound of my partner, just a few feet away, in the other room. Not helping, not even checking, just scrolling on his phone. That's when it happened. A surge of heat shot through me. My fists clenched. My jaw locked. I wanted to scream, not at my baby, never at my baby, but at him. At the man who had sworn he'd be there. And then came the guilt. Crushing guilt. I loved my child more than anything. But in that moment, I didn't recognize myself. And it scared me more than anything ever had. Days turned into weeks. Every time the baby cried, I was the one up at 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. and again at 6 a.m. Meanwhile, my partner slipped out of bed like a ghost. "You're better at calming them," he'd say. "I've got work in the morning." Oh, but he had time for his video games. He had time for his endless doom scrolling. He had time for naps in the middle of the day while I ran on 2 hours of broken sleep. Each time I asked for help, it was the same. Excuses. A shrug. Or worse, that blank look of dismissal. As though my exhaustion wasn't real. As though my body wasn't still broken from giving birth. And with every ignored request, every dismissive shrug, the anger grew. It wasn't just hormones. It wasn't just postpartum. It was righteous fury. Because here's the truth. Postpartum anger isn't just about hormones. It's about injustice. It's about being abandoned in the moment you needed partnership the most. The night it all changed, the baby had been crying for hours. I sat there, rocking, my arms trembling from the weight, my vision blurring from exhaustion. My partner? He was passed out on the couch, phone glowing in his limp hand. Something inside me snapped. Not in a violent way. Not toward my child. No, I snapped in clarity. In resolve. I realized if I kept living like this, I would disappear. And worse, my child would grow up watching me erased by a man too selfish to care. That was the night I decided on my own form of revenge. Revenge, in my case, wasn't screaming matches. It wasn't throwing dishes. No. I wanted something that would cut deeper. Something he wouldn't see coming. I stopped asking. I stopped begging. And instead I started documenting. Every late night. Every ignored diaper. Every dismissive comment. Screenshots of his messages when I begged for help. Notes of the times I handed him the baby, and he immediately handed them back. And then, I started quietly rearranging my life. I reached out to my mom, to my sister, to the friends who'd offered help and whom I'd been too embarrassed to lean on. I began building a support system outside of him. At the same time, I cut him off from the emotional labor he'd been leeching. No more cooking his meals. No more laundry. No more picking up after his messes while juggling a newborn. He wanted a roommate who acted like his mother? Fine. I became neither. Weeks later, he finally noticed. "Why don't you talk to me anymore?" he asked, confusion etched across his face. And I just looked at him and said, asterisk, because I already have one baby. I don't need two. Asterisk. His jaw dropped. He sputtered, defensive. "That's not fair, I've been working." But I cut him off. Calmly. Coldly. With the receipts I'd been gathering. Working? You mean playing games until 2 a.m.? You mean leaving me to bleed, cry, and feed alone while you scrolled TikTok? Don't worry. I kept track. I can show anyone who asks. The color drained from his face. Because he knew, if this ever went to family, to friends, to court, he'd look exactly like what he was, a deadbeat partner. From that day forward, things changed. Suddenly, he was the one waking up in the middle of the night. Suddenly, he was offering to cook, to clean, to change diapers. Not out of love, but out of fear. because he realized I wasn't powerless anymore. I wasn't just the exhausted, broken woman begging for scraps of help. I was the woman who had caught him in the act and could expose him to everyone. The sweetest part? Watching him squirm. Watching him stumble over apologies, trying to rewrite history. And me? Smiling quietly, rocking my baby, knowing he'd never hold that power over me again. Postpartum anger taught me something I'll never forget. Sometimes the rage isn't a weakness. Sometimes, it's the spark that burns down the excuses, the lies and the laziness. And in that fire, you find your strength again. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and subscribe for more. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying moment of revenge you've ever seen? Until next time, remember, the strongest people are often forged in the fires others left them to burn in.